Hi everyone, Dr. Star Ramson here. I want to share with you a little bit about what I've learned about the ACE2 enzyme. This enzyme is the transmembrane enzyme that is responsible for the viral binding and entrance of virus into our cells. I have learned a little bit about the function of this enzyme that I want to share with you, and some of the scientific community's discussion on potentially blocking this enzyme to interfere with viral binding. And I think this is an interesting concept. There are no peer-reviewed, double-blind placebo trials in humans yet because we haven't had time to do any of that yet. But I think it's an interesting concept clinically. There are some in vitro papers on natural substances that do potentially have this action of binding to the ACE2 enzyme. So I want to share those with you, and just before that, acknowledge that none of this is medical advice. So anything that you are going to integrate into your protocol, run that by your doctor, because not all of these substances are safe for everybody. Even though they're natural, it does not mean that they're safe. None of this is meant to claim that these substances are a preventive agent or a treatment agent for the COVID-19 disease. This is to share with you some of the papers and research out there that may give us some empowerment that there are foods and botanicals that we can integrate into our routine while we're healthy. They don't replace social isolation and preventing spread that way, but they are something that we can do, and the produce aisle is full. So let's get started. I'll share with you a little bit about them and then a little about what this enzyme does. So the natural agents that may bind to this enzyme include bicolin from Chinese skullcap, hesperidin, which is a bioflavonoid found in the rind of citrus fruits, and blood orange actually being the richest source of it, niacinamide from soy, glycyrrhizin from licorice root, stinging nettle, astragalus, andrographis, and elderberry. This is a great list of things that we can integrate into our diet that, if we think about it clinically, and they do have the action of binding to that ACE2 enzyme, potentially that is one source of blockage for one viral particle to get into our cells. But there aren't any studies on this in humans. There's no evidence this is actually happening, but this in vitro paper I think can help give us some empowerment to integrate these things into our routine. The last thing I want to mention is the function of this enzyme. So this enzyme, which is found in the deep layers of our lungs as well as our small intestine, this enzyme converts something known as angiotensin 2 into angiotensin 1,7. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is that angiotensin 2 is an inflammatory agent, but angiotensin 1,7 is an anti-inflammatory agent. And we don't want to be suppressing the action of this enzyme if we have come down with the SARS-CoV-2 virus. If we have this condition or any symptoms of this condition, suppressing that enzyme is not indicated, because we want that anti-inflammatory agent present to help prevent the progression to acute respiratory distress syndrome, which is a major inflammatory process in the lungs that can interfere with oxygenation. Keep in mind that this idea, this potential integration into your supportive plan, is there for pre-infection. If you have any flu-like symptoms whatsoever, these agents should be discontinued. Two more things. One, if you are eating food that is prepared outside your home, I encourage you to include some of these foods in with that. Squeeze on some lemon, if you can crush it to get some of the rind in there. If you can chop some garlic, take a spoon of elderberry with foods that you're eating. This is something safely that you can do because this virus is potentially transmitted through the fecal-oral route, and because these receptors are in the small intestine, we want to make sure that we are not transmitting the virus through food. My very final point is about vitamin D. Vitamin D may have the ability to upregulate the ACE2 enzyme. Vitamin D has fantastic immune supportive properties, and it may help be protective in maintaining the production of that angiotensin 1-7 against acute respiratory distress syndrome. Vitamin D should be part of our protocol as a preventive agent and also part of our protocol to help support us if we are sick. Thank you so much for listening to my video on this, and I hope that you tune into future videos, and please all be well.